Hello, and welcome back to Movie Night with Mac, the show with my movie reviews. Now, in this episode, I will be discussing the 2025 Oscar nominees and giving my opinions along with my picks and predictions. Just for clarification before I get into it, my pick is my personal winner, or who I would like to see win, and my prediction is who I expect to win. Also, for time's sake, there are a couple categories that I won't be discussing, and I'm going to try to keep my opinions brief and not talk about who I think was snubbed or any unnominated movies. There's a lot to unpack here with these nominations, so I'm just going to quit with the introduction and just get started with the big one, Best Picture. So if you saw my top 5 of 2024 video, it should come as no surprise to you that my pick for Best Picture is Dune Part 2. My favorite film of the year. I think it's absolutely spectacular. If you want to hear my whole review on it, check out my top 5 2024 episode. For my prediction, I think it's kind of a toss-up. I think some have a better chance than others. For the most part, I think it could go to anyone. I would say Emilia Perez just because of the number of nominations. You know, we saw something similar last year with Oppenheimer, how it gets nominated in pretty much every category and then obviously wins Best Picture. That could happen again, but I think I'm going to predict The Brutalist. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not 100% on that prediction, but that's what I'll stick with for now, The Brutalist. Next up, actor in a leading role. There's a really strong category here. I really like these picks. You know, all these films are really, really good. And, you know, there's something to be said about these actors and their impact on the film when they have the majority of the screen time. For my pick, I really want Timothée Chalamet to bring it home. I'm not gonna lie. I think he was brilliant in A Complete Unknown. He's a tremendously talented actor. He's had a great Oscar campaign, and I think he's just due for a big win. I would love to see it. However, my prediction has to be Adrien Brody. I think it's a layup. You know, the Oscars love him already. He was amazing in The Brutalist. He's already dominated the category and all the other awards. I think it's a very safe prediction that Adrien Brody will win it. Next up, actress in a leading role. Another great category. Some really good nominees. It's hard to pick a favorite, but I would love to see Demi Moore win. I think she had a great performance in The Substance. She gave a really heartfelt speech at the Golden Globes after she won about her career, and it's had me rooting for her ever since, so I would love to see her win. For my prediction, I'm going to say Mikey Madison. I just feel like she's been in so many conversations and has kind of felt like the forerunner of this category since Anora came out. I don't think I'm as huge a fan of Anora as everyone else is, but I really liked Mikey Madison's performance in it, and if she does end up winning, I think it's deserving. Our next category is actor in a supporting role. Right off the bat, I think Kieran Culkin is the easiest prediction of them all. He's absolutely swept the supporting actor awards, and I would really be shocked if he doesn't win. With that being said, he's not really my favorite. I really like Kieran Culkin, but I don't really love his character or his humor in A Real Pain. I think the quirkiness is laid on a little too heavy. I think it's time for him to branch out with a new role. For my pick for actor in a supporting role, I'm going to pivot to the other Roy son, Jeremy Strong. I think he portrays Roy Cohn, the ruthlessness of Roy Cohn, very well. From his line deliveries to his body language. That's in The Apprentice. He's really, really good. Yeah, he's going to be my pick. Next up, actress in a supporting role. Now this is an interesting category. For starters, I don't think Zoe Saldana should be here at all. She's definitely a lead role in Emilia Perez, even though her performance is one of the stronger aspects of the movie. I would not care to see her win in a category that she doesn't really belong in. She has way too much screen time in that movie to be considered supporting. Felicity Jones and Isabella Rossellini have great performances, but they lean very heavily on supporting, in my opinion. Their characters don't have much importance until pretty late in their films, but regardless, I think they have some pretty good performances. My pick, however, is going to be Ariana Grande. I talked all about her in my review for Wicked. But she's funny, her vocals are great, and I would love to see her win, even though it may be a little unlikely, I'll admit. My prediction, I think, is going to be Zoe Saldana. The Academy clearly loved Emilia Perez, and I think if they're going to give it anything, it's at least going to be the film's forerunner and more memorable actress. All right, and the next category is costume design. This is a good category. I'm pretty pleased with the nominees. Nothing too surprising or outrageous. I'm predicting Wicked. The Academy seems to really love Wicked, and I think the costume design is a major element of the film, and it's fantasy. I think I'm gonna pick Wicked as well. I really like all the nominees, so it's hard to choose. I really love Timothy's Bob Dylan transformation, but Wicked goes all out with its outfits, and I would be happy to see it take home the win. Next up, makeup and hairstyling. These are some good nominees. I think Emilia Perez with the others here is a little ridiculous. Not that Emilia Perez has bad makeup or hairstyling, so to speak. It's just doing so much less than the other nominees. My pick and my prediction, I think, is going to be The Substance. Lots of really, really good body horror and use of makeup and prosthetics. I think it has a good chance at the win, and I'd be happy to see that, especially because, horror movies have been historically snubbed from the Oscars as a whole for many years, and I think it'd be really great to see some great horror and some really great makeup and hairstyling take home the win. The next category is original score. To be honest, in my opinion, this category is just an absolute train wreck. First, Dune Part 2 was disqualified, which I was disappointed with, but if those are the rules, then whatever. But then, a challenger snub was completely unexpected. I think the nominees they chose over it are just, I don't even know. The Wild Robot and Wicked scores are pretty unmemorable. Emilia Perez, I don't think should be nominated for anything music related. So that leaves Conclave and The Brutalist. Conclave has a good score, but I don't think it's extremely significant, and it isn't used nearly enough. I think a better utilization of the score and more scenes would have put it closer to the win, but for my pick and prediction, I'm going to say The Brutalist, which has a fantastic score. I think it has a good shot at the win, and I think it's one of the few very deserved nominees. But, I said the same thing about Challenger, so, what do I know? Next up, original song. I'm also not super crazy about these nominations. I think it was kind of just a rough year for original songs. My pick is going to be Like a Bird from Sing Sing. It's my favorite out of this list, and I think it's the best, especially in the context of the film. For my prediction, I think it has to be something from Emilia Perez, and I think it's going to be El Mal. It's been winning lots of awards. I think it's pretty safe to say it'll win the Oscar. I will say, however, out of all the songs from Emilia Perez, I think they chose one of the better ones to promote for all the awards. At the very least, it's catchy. Our next category is animated feature film. I like the nominations. It's a good representation of the animation from this year. Not that I'm a Disney hater or anything, but I'm a little glad that Moana 2 wasn't nominated. I kind of was expecting it to be nominated, but I'm glad that they gave a chance to less popular films like Memoir of a Snail. I like The Wild Robot. I'm not surprised at all at the nomination. It wasn't really my favorite. I think it was a little overhyped, but still a good film and deserves the recognition. Inside Out 2, I'm also not surprised to see. Pixar has pretty much always been in this category, but they haven't taken home a win in a couple years, so I think it'll be interesting to see if they can turn that around this year. My pick is going to be Flow. It was close between Flow and Wallace and Gromit, but I think I just like Flow more. I really like the animation, great story, great sound design, just an overall great film. It's going to be my pick. For my prediction, I really want to also say Flow, but I think it's going to be The Wild Robot. It was nominated in more categories than I was expecting, so it's clear the Academy really likes it. It won at the Critics' Choice Awards against the exact same nominees, and I think it has the best chance at a win at the Oscars. Next up is production design. This is a good category. These are some really great set designs, from the Vatican City to the Emerald City. Part of me really wants to gun for Dune for all of its nominations, but I actually think I'm going to choose The Brutalist on this one for my pick. For a film all about architecture and attention to detail, it definitely delivers with some really, really great set pieces. For my prediction, I'm going to predict Wicked. I just think the bigger scale of Oz and the university and the translation from the Broadway stage to the big screen is going to bring home the win for Wicked. Which I wouldn't be mad at, I would be happy with any of these nominees taking it home. Next up is editing, another pretty good category. I like these picks. Just right off the bat, I think I'm gonna lock in Emilia Perez as my prediction. I don't think the editing is amazing. It's not bad, but it's a lot. I think the Academy will like it. It's editing that you notice, like the split screen effect during a phone call or effects during the musical numbers. I think that's what the Academy tends to prefer most of the time. But for this category, it's not really my preference. My pick is between The Brutalist and Conclave. Both films have pretty seamless pace during dialogue and masterful montages, in my opinion. I think they're both strong contenders. I think I will give my pick to Conclave, though, just because of the pace of the overall film. Obviously, editing isn't just, best editing isn't just, whose movie is the shortest, but I think in the end, that's what gives Conclave the edge. I'm really surprised, honestly, that Conclave got an editing nomination and not a cinematography nomination, because I feel like they work so well together in the film. But anyway, next category is sound. Another Wild Robot nomination in a sound-related category. I think that's a little surprising to me. That and Emilia Perez, I feel like, didn't have super memorable sound design, just off the top of my head. These other nominations are great, though. All the Wicked songs being sung live on set, the instruments and the vocals of A Complete Unknown, the spaceships and the combat and Dune. There's some really strong nominations. I will be picking Dune Part 2. I think I'm going to predict Dune as well. I'm hopeful that it'll take something home. And in 2021, I believe, or 2022, Dune won Best Sound over West Side Story. And I think we may see a similar situation here against Wicked. I think that's the next strongest contender. All right, next up is cinematography. some pretty good nominees here. I feel like there's always a big outlier in the cinematography category, this year being Maria, last year El Conde, and Bardo in 2022. Not that these movies are bad, it's just interesting that this is the only category that they're nominated for. Apart from that, I'm happy to see the Nosferatu nomination. You know, I really like the use of shadows, obviously, wide shots, close-ups. My pick is going to be Dune Part 2. In my review, I spoke about, you know, just how amazing this film looks in every single frame. I'm really happy that it got nominated. I may be a little too hopeful, but I think I'm going to say it's my prediction as well. I mean, just like I said with sound design, the first movie won for cinematography a few years ago, which makes me optimistic for this year. Not only that, but I think it just actually has the best cinematography. Like I said, Nosferatu is really good. The Brutalist has its moments. Emilia Perez doesn't look terrible, but Dune is just leagues ahead, in my opinion. And finally, the final category that I will be discussing is directing. This is an interesting category, I think. I'll be honest, I have no idea how Jacques Audiard is nominated. It truly boggles my mind. He's apparently a pretty popular French director who made a movie about Mexican people, doesn't speak any Spanish or English, refused to cast any Mexican actors, admitted to not doing any research about Mexican culture. You know, the list goes on. But I think the rest of these nominees are pretty good. For my pick, I'm going to go with Sean Baker. Even though Honora wasn't really my favorite, especially from his filmography, I think he's gone underappreciated for long enough in this industry. And I would love to see him on that stage win an Oscar, you know. That being said, however, I don't know if that's the most likely outcome. I really don't know who to predict. I feel like the Academy could swing any way on this. This might be a long shot, but I think I'm going to predict James Mangold. I just think a complete unknown would be right up the Academy's alley. I think Mangold's role in telling the story and, you know, obviously directing the actors might bring home the win for him. But I'm not extremely confident in that. But with that will wrap up my Oscar picks and predictions. The Oscars are going to be announced March 2nd, so stay tuned to see how many of my predictions were correct. Thank you for listening to this episode, and I will see you in the next one.